chair, they Just a little announcement. ITS is having difficulties getting in on Zoom, but our live stream is working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just open.
I can hear you on Zoom.
Okay, yeah, I just unmuted myself on Zoom, and I'm gonna keep it unmuted so that people on Zoom can hear us, and we're gonna start the meeting, and live stream is working, so we're gonna hope that ITS can get in on Zoom. All right, if I can have, I'm gonna wait for Kara. So as soon as Kara enters the room, I'm going to start the meeting. All right. All right, everybody, so I call this meeting into order at 4:13 p.m. Starting with roll call. Senator Bassnett? Senator Bassnett? I'm just going to take a quick look at the
Motion?
yes.
Motion to waive roll call.
Second.
All right, do I have any dissent? No dissent. All right, the roll call is waived. Wait, did we have a dissent? Sorry.
I just have a question.
Yes.
If you put earphones in, it might stop the
Or
reverb.
muted, yeah.
If I do what?
If you put earphones in, so your microphone
Or
stops,
mute
you
it.
get the sound.
They can, because they can hear through this, right?
Yeah, you can.
So you don't need to have your
Okay,
That's a lot. That's the only problem.
so just
I muted myself.
on your computer.
Turn your volume down.
Turn out your button. Yeah.
Okay. Can the people over Zoom still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Dean. All right, moving on to our next order of business, which is presentations. I do not have any presentations today. Moving on to open forum. Do I have anyone for open forum? Brian?
Yep. Can you hear me over Zoom?
I believe they can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brian Schneider, and I'm with IT Solutions. I'm one of the assistant CIOs. And I'm interested in asking senators, particularly those newly appointed senators, newly elected senators that don't have any committees yet that they're committed to. I'm looking for committee members to serve on our Tech Fee Advisory Committee. And the Tech Fee Advisory Committee is kind of our conduit, our consulting service for student tech fees. Now, all students pay student tech fees, and all students actually use technology, and the service is provided by tech fees. So what the Tech Fee Committee is it's made up of faculty and students from the Student Senate. And what we do is we look at technology. So the Student Tech Fee provides things like computer hardware, software licenses, classroom presentation equipment, video production equipment. What else does it do? Services for technology for students. And what we do with the Technology Fee Committee is it's made up of faculty and students. And what we do is we look at we look at technology throughout the university. And along the way, we do a lot of tours. We tour classrooms, computer labs, and look at all the specialized equipment used in those computer labs. We go to the computer center, which is where our servers are, and we also tour like networking closets, and we even go down in our secret, scary tunnels, and we look at how everything is connected together at the university. So along the way, we learn all about technology, and we look at the budgets for IT as well. But we learn about technology, and we learn what student tech fee is used for and what student technology fees are not used for. And one of the most important things that we get is consultation from the students. we don't have all the answers, but we learn from students and faculty what the technology needs are for the students, and now and in the future too. And then what we do is we put together a prioritized list, and that list of priorities comes back to the student government later this spring for your input and for your vote. And then what we do with that prioritized list is we use that to create projects and implement new technology down the road in the future. So this is a very important committee that you can serve on, and it is one that is very valuable to IT Solutions as well. It's where we get our ideas and where we get our direction for technology and services that students are going to need in the future. So these meetings last about an hour and a half every week throughout the spring semester. And what I'm asking for is students to volunteer on this committee. Those students that are interested in serving on the Tech Bee Advisory Committee can ask President Stiff to be appointed to the Tech Bee Advisory Committee. All right, and I'll stand for any questions that you might have about that.
Thank you. Do I have any questions? Senator Hashimoto?
Yeah, can I ask the day and
Do you have a
time
question?
briefly, or should I ask the president probably the day and time of the committee?
The date and times will be determined by when I get a list of faculty and I get a list of students. We'll find what the best time that everybody can meet is. So I can't determine that now. It really takes everybody that is volunteering on the committee, and then we find it over time.
Thank you so much for flexible.
You're welcome.
To be flexible for everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
Senator Carlson?
I just had a quick comment that I think this would be a really cool committee to get involved in, especially because at the beginning of the year, admin asked us how to make our school stand out apart from others. I believe that technology is a great way to do that, and it'd be cool to get our ideas on there and see what we can do to differentiate ourselves from other schools.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions? Any questions over Zoom? Any questions? All right, no further questions. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Do I have anyone else for open forum? Sam?
Hi folks, welcome to this semester. This is my first meeting coming back to y'all since break, but I have some really exciting news to share. Maverick Adventures out of Campus Recreation has been working hard on what our spring schedule is going to be. And our first event is an ice fishing event. We're going to be taking a group of students ice fishing. I have a couple flyers that I'll hand around. We're going to be going to Duck Lake. I'll bring that over to you in a second. Duck Lake is just outside of the Mankato area. We're going to take 6 students, and everything's provided, all equipment, transportation. We even got a group fishing license from the DNR, a real special educational license that allows us to bring a group of folks out onto the ice. And we're going to be guiding and showing them how to ice fish. Some of our participants likely have never even walked on a frozen lake or done this activity before, so we are real excited. There's a QR code on there. It goes to the Campus Rec app or the new Campus Rec website that sells tickets. Some of you have been to the My Campus Rec portal and scanned into Otto and seen that we've been doing some investment in technology. But students are able to register right from there. It's a $15 fee, but everything's all included in that. The date is Saturday the 29th of January, and we're going to be going from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m., leaving in front of Otto and returning to the same spot. I'm here for any questions if anyone has any.
Senator Douglas?
Why only 6?
It's a great question. Given the equipment needs, I think it would be a challenge for us within our budget to be able to take a larger group. But the great thing, Senator, is that the permit that we acquired is good for a number of weeks. So we are hoping to revisit that. The cost of renting cars is prohibitive.
Senator Darlington?
So how are you going to select the 6?
Registration's open, so students actually have already started registering. So I believe it likely will be sold out by the time the sun sets here this evening. We've had an incredible demand for this program, so it's first come, first serve. Just a side note, I've been approached by a number of different areas on campus who would like to pay full registrations for students, as well as supply additional vehicles to bring more students, but financially, providing equipment for a full service program like this is a challenge.
Senator Paulson?
Could students possibly bring their own equipment if they had it?
Great question. Part of the registration process, we asked students if they'd like to bring their own equipment, because we're open to that as well.
And do you guys, sorry.
Go ahead.
And do you guys have an ice fishing house you're gonna be in, or?
We're gonna have some portable shelters. I've been working with one of the brands of outdoor companies, and we're hoping that we might have some of their equipment there on the ice as well, but I've been working with a community member who's gonna donate his personal equipment along with my personal equipment so that we have some shelter. Right now the temperature looks like it's a balmy 24 degrees.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions? Any questions over Zoom? Any questions? All right, no further questions. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, folks.
Do I have anyone else for open forum today? Anybody for open forum? Anyone for open forum? All right, moving on to approval of consent.
I'm trying to wave again. You're missing it. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
If people over Zoom, if I'm not able to look at you, can just like raise your hand over Zoom. That way I'll get a notification, I'll pop up. But Dr. Jones, you have the floor.
Great. I just have two different updates I want to provide for folks. One, you should have received an earlier email reminder today about two of our upcoming vaccination clinics, as well as the announcement of a continuation of an incentive program. We just drew the last two winners for the semester's worth of tuition and fees. I need to notify those winners here today, but we are on February 1st, March 1st and April 1st, we'll be selecting for each one of those dates 5 winners who are fully vaccinated to each win $1,000 each. All you have to do is provide your proof of vaccination and you're automatically entered into the drawing. So encourage everybody to do that. I'd be remiss to follow up. I know last meeting, Associate Provost Velsos did talk a little bit about our COVID energies and what we're trying to do to make sure we're keeping everybody safe. As you see, the numbers have been rising here on campus as well as in our own community. It is our hope to continue to stay with all the mitigation efforts we have. The question's been asked in a couple different corners, like what would it take for us to go online? According to the Minnesota Department of Health, if a group reaches at least 3% of their population as become positive in this case, then we would be requested to explore or potentially move towards remote learning. We are less than 1%. We're pretty low when you look at how many students we have, 64 cases and 14,000 students. You can do the math, you know it's a pretty small number. So that's what it would take. So at this point in time, the only instruction faculty have been shared with is in the next week or two as we start the semester, if there's some safe ways that they can deliver their courses that may mitigate the ability not to be in person as much, they've been encouraged to explore that, but nothing long-term. If you or any of your fellow classmates are finding that faculty have made an entire switch over a semester, please bring that to the provost's office or Dr. Veltz's attention, and we'll follow up with that to find out a little bit more about that decision. Secondly, and I'll stand for any questions if there's time, we also are excited to be announcing we'll be having 2 dean searches here shortly. More details will be coming out, but one is for the Dean of Allied Health and Nursing. We'll be working with a search firm for this search, as well as one for the new dean of the new college, the combination of social and behavioral sciences, as well as arts and humanities. So watch for those. We'll have requests out for you, but we continue to make progress here throughout the spring, and we'll be filling some key positions for us, and look forward to having your voice as a part of that. And that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Do I have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All right, no questions. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you.
Do I have anyone for open forum? Any hand raises on Zoom? Anyone for open forum? All right, moving on to our next business item on the agenda, which is approval of consent agenda. Do I have any dissent on the approval of consent agenda? Any dissent? Any dissent? All right, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to officer reports, I'm going to start with President Stiff.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me, but if you can hear it in my voice, COVID finally got me after 2 years, so I am in quarantine right now. I wish I could be there with you, but that's why Zoom is an option. The first thing I have is there is going to be some important work coming out of committees in the next few weeks. So that really means both committees that I have appointed to you for the university and your regular academic and student affairs committees. So if you've been appointed to these committees or any of these university search committees or anything like that, please do your best to show up in person or let me know if circumstances have changed so that way I can appoint another student to those positions. The next thing I have is Students United. If you were one of the people that signed up last week to do the state lobby day or state advocacy day, check your emails. I have sent you a request to send me some other information that I need to send over to them, and then they will be reaching out to you to give you some more information on what the schedule will look like for state lobby day. The next thing is, if you, again, just to reiterate some of our expectations for the semester, you guys can kind of hear that I'm sick, but if you are not sick, we do expect you to come in person. I see some of y'all just, in the CSU and then on Zoom later, so please try your best to come in person if you are not sick. It makes the experience better, and we do have some work that we will have to get done this semester as far as budget season. If you are actually not able to come, have a proxy available for Senate meetings. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else, but you guys can always email me if you have any questions.
All right, do I have any questions for President Stiff? Any questions for President Stiff? Any questions on Zoom? All right, moving on to our next officer report, which is Vice President Seversal.
So, hi guys, happy second week of classes. Hope the transition has been smooth, at least a little bit. I don't have much for you today. The one thing I'd want to say is we've had quite a few new elected senators. So even if this was your first year in Senate, please make sure that you're reaching out to our new senators, making them feel welcome, mentoring, and kind of giving them a lay of the land, because that can be a big transition, especially as we jump into budget season. So just continue to reach out. I'm going to yield to Senator Novak. Do we have any upcoming events or not yet?
Upcoming events, as far as like what student government is currently planning, we do not have anything set in stone as of right now. The PR and marketing team is looking at doing another ice skating event while it's still like winter season. And in addition to that, I met with student events team earlier this morning, and I'm going to talk more about that in my announcement.
Wonderful. So I would just say, if you guys have ideas for ways that we can get together and continue to support each other, please reach out to Senator Novak or the PR team. And yeah, that's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Do I have any questions for Vice President Seversal? Senator Carlson?
It's okay. Just one idea that I really wanted to quick throw out there that would be kind of a cool giving back thing is I know a lot of, I forget the exact name of it, but a lot of people do the, you stay in a box for one night or in a tent to fight homelessness. And I mean, that's kind of a lot to ask of us, but I mean, homeless people have to go through a lot too, so we could raise money and do that as kind of a together thing. We'd be cold, but we'd make it fun.
It could be more of like an April or early May.
All right, thank you for the idea. Do I have any further questions? Any questions? Any questions over Zoom? All right, thank you, Vice President Sowerso. Moving on to the last report of the day, which is my report. First of all, I have been hearing a lot of emails about now that the COVID number is increasing and the new variant is highly contagious. I would appreciate if you guys let me know, and I've had senators letting me know about getting sick. One thing I just want to point out is when you tell me that you're sick, or if you knew that you have been sick for like 2-3 days, please let me know 24 hours in advance, which is our policy, that you have to notify me 24 hours in advance if you're not going to be able to attend the meeting. I will allow you, if you're feeling better, to join over Zoom. If that's not the case, if you cannot join meeting through the Zoom, then you have to have a proxy. Last semester we have had senators who were absent and did not provide their proxy, which is not going to be tolerable this semester. So please know, and even if you're not sick, just be aware that in case you're going to have to miss a meeting, you need to have a proxy. So maybe in your colleges or any student that can be your proxy, be ready. Let them know that you would be using them as your proxy, so that it's not a very last minute thing and you cannot find someone. So please, please, please have this in mind, that you have to have a 24-hour notice and have a proxy in case you cannot join over Zoom, because I need to have a full table and I need to have the seats filled. Second thing was office hours are going to be due this week on Friday. I was trying to open up and check the form on Presence, and my Presence just started glitching again. I'm going to try that again and make sure that before Friday that form is working. In case it doesn't, and I will send out a link. I'm sure all of you guys know where that form is, but for new senators I will send out the link again, but it should be on Presence under student government account under forms. In case that doesn't work, you can always email me, but Friday by noon is our deadline. So please follow that. And other than that, I just wanted to say that the new senators we have are very excited to get started. And in case, I'm sure they have a lot of ideas, but they're also looking for collaborations, and they want to know what other senators are working on. So before we start with senator reports, because that's when the whole Senate really gets to know about your project, and if you're working on a project, you're excited about it, and you're looking for collaborations, just maybe share with other senators. We have a GroupMe account, so utilize that account, share about what new project you're working on, if you have an idea for a project, because that would help other senators, and especially new senators. And that's all I have today. Do I have any questions? Any questions? Any questions over Zoom? I'm gonna just take a quick look. Awesome. Looks like there's no questions. We're gonna move on to our next business item on the agenda, which is senator reports. I do not have any senator reports for this meeting. Moving on to vacancies. Like always, did you have a question?
Sorry, I have a report. I don't know if I needed to report before, like a meeting or something.
You don't have a report today, but I will
Okay.
put you on for the next
Okay,
meeting.
cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Moving on to our next business item, vacancies. So like always, I'm gonna read all the vacancies we have. We promote it on our social media thanks to our PR and marketing team. But if you know of someone who would be eligible or interested in applying for these vacancies, please let them know. We have an off-campus senator and other off-campus senator, College of Allied Health and Nursing senator, College of Arts and Humanities senator, College of Education, and Residential Life senator. I did send out some candidate information, but we don't have those, so don't worry if I don't talk about it and you guys think that we just simply missed it. We did not. It got dropped out. So moving on to our next business item, which is new business. I have two motions under new business, starting with private student meeting policy, motion by.
That one was on there by accident. You can skip that.
All right, thank you. And then next one is resolution of support for the creation of Maverick Wellness Center, motion by Vice President Sorso and seconded by President Stiff. Do you want to talk about your motion?
Yeah, so last week in our unofficial committee time, we kind of talked about this motion and what we're looking to do with the Wellness Center and what kind of changes we're looking to achieve. So I didn't hear from anyone this past week, but I'm hoping to, continue to have a discussion today if you guys want to, and move forward on this so we can keep making progress. So that's all I have.
All right, President Stiff, would you like to talk about your second?
Yes, so this has been one of our big projects for the year, is establishing a wellness center. This resolution is the first step, and the first step in talks with the president. He would like to see the Senate support on this, and of course, me and Kara want your support as well. So that's it.
All right, at this point, I would like to open the discussion period. Do I have any discussion points, starting with Senator Carlson?
So we talked about this a little bit in committee, actually right before this, because there was, I guess, something I was a little confused on is, so essentially the problem is right now, right, that kids are having to go to many different areas and are being sent to a bunch of different places, and so we're trying to create a center place, correct?
Correct.
And so what I'd asked last week is, okay, so we're going to have some of these people here at this center, but then the students are still, my concern is the students are still they'll go to this center, but then they're still being sent to different places, like the food pantry and all this, to get that stuff. And so it's, instead of having to go to each of the places separately, now we're adding one more step to them having to still go to all these other places. And so I guess that was one of my concerns, and that I think we might be thinking a little too small. And the fact where I think we need to spend the money on a bigger project, which would essentially be creating a bigger wellness center that has every department that they would need to go to in one building.
Thank you. Do I have Senator Roberts?
I believe Joey was before me.
Senator Nowak?
Yes. My thing is unrelated to what Riley said. I have a friendly amendment, motion, friendly amendment. I would like to change the first, be it resolved, the Student Senate gives its official endorsement of the creation and the continuation of the Maverick Food Pantry. I would like to change that, being that that's something that we already accomplished and did last year, to friendly amendment of whereas the Student Senate gave its official endorsement of the creation and the continuation of the Maverick Food Pantry.
I accept the friendly amendment.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
We don't need one for our friendly.
Okay. All right. Do I have any discussion points? Senator Roberts.
Thank you. It's pretty much the same as Senator Carl said. I do have a bit of a concern, and I didn't realize this last week when we were discussing it. I kind of, when it came up in the committee, I was just like, oh, yeah. That'd still be a potential problem that students would run into. Like, I still think that this is better than nothing, but I think if there's a way that we can handle it all and do a bigger, and have a bigger effect to where students don't have to travel all the way and make an expedition around campus where things could be missed, especially if multiple people are asking the same questions over and over, and I believe something's going to get missed in that picture. So instead of having it one centralized place, having it all handled all the way through the entire picture, that one central place where everything is in that same building is going to be more effective than having them go into that building, get that list generated where things could be missed out as they get sent out to all these separate places. So I think one universal place where actually everything gets done. itself would be a better and more effective way to actually achieve the wellness center and be more comparable to other wellness centers that are not necessarily referred to as the wellness center, but similar things that other colleges and universities do that would be effective and would be a better use of funds and better use of helping our students' body.
Thank you. Do I have any other discussion points? Senator Hashimoto? And I'm just going to make an announcement. If any senators over Zoom would like to be involved in the discussion points, you can simply just raise your hand. Senator Hashimoto, you can go.
Yeah, like I really like the concept of like, how we should have some like information source that, students can get those, information about how to meet the basic needs, which I hear the cases of like, I didn't know there is such thing and I didn't even go there when I was struggling with it, which is so unfortunate that we fund those, departments so well. Just wonder, does it needs to be, for example, like, could it be online, like for some like, something the student can actually just have some like online consultation with like working staff instead of like having the building and putting all the installment in it, or if as other senators are concerned about, if it's gonna be rather like a smaller project, would it be better to have like some online settings so that we don't need to, put all the resources there, but we can have more use the things effectively?
Vice President Sawerso?
Yeah, so I just want to respond to a couple of the different discussion points that we said. So I'm going to start with Senator Hashimoto. So yeah, as our student population evolves over the next 10 years, we predict an older population, a population that's more likely to go back to school later, to have kids, to all these different things. And so the use of telehealth will likely increase with that. And that's something that we'd love to see incorporated from that too. That's important to the president. It's important to have the telehealth option on campus, or for students that go to this university, but we still think it's pretty essential to have a location, to have a starting point, because we have some online resources right now. We have different websites that have a list of resources and stuff, but they're not widely spread, they're not widely known, there's often broken links, it's just not, it's not a perfect solution. And so we think both pieces are pretty necessary. It's kind of the same concept, like, you could make a meeting with someone from the Women's Center online, or you could go to the office. And we know that there's still value in the sense of community there, and the programming that's doing there, even if you can still meet with the same person online. So we think that's true here, which is why we view that as like a yes and. Yes, let's have virtual, and let's also have the option for community in the building. But I think that's a great idea. And then responding to Senator Carlson and Senator Roberts, some concerns that you two had brought up about, is this just another step of shuffling students around? So I hear that, and I agree that I would say no, it's not, because what we're doing, instead of kind of not even really sending students, just allowing students to fend for themselves and try and scavenge for these resources themselves, we're incorporating the social worker and the sort of wellness plan, which is pretty standard for how you would approach any meeting with a social worker anytime you're trying to access services. It's pretty rare to have that kind of service center strip mall, which is kind of like what I'm hearing, like let's combine everything. The closest thing we have to that right now we actually have is the CSU. But the reason the CSU isn't working is not because the places aren't located in one building, it's that students don't know about what services they're eligible for and where to go in the building. So I don't think we need to start from scratch with combining all of the different resource centers into a new spot. I think we need to inform students and equip students with the guidance to access the resources we already have. So that's why we're promoting this wellness center, is because you can come here and we're going to consolidate the wellness programming that the Women's Center, that Campus Rec is doing, that the Student Health Service is doing, that the Counseling Center is doing. We're going to consolidate that programming to have one central place where students can go for programming. And then when students need help with services, they also have a place. we're also helping faculty, advisors, when they get that message from a student that says, you know, I know I'm failing this class, I've recently become homeless, and I'm experiencing that crisis. That faculty, we often hear that they don't know where to go. They don't know how to aid the student. They don't know where to turn the student to. They're on their computers doing their own research about homelessness services for students. We now have a place to help faculty, to help advisors send people to, and also for students to access. Most schools have their dean of students kind of does some more of this work. Our school, we structure it differently, so this is a major gap. And so would I love a $30,000 investment in a potentially new, you know, service strip mall center where we could incorporate and have all of that? Yes. But I think what we have in the CSU works. We just need to show students how to work it. And so that's where the center really comes into play.
Thank you. Next I have Senator Chimizie.
I was just gonna respond to what he said, Senator Hashimoto. So basically, what you said is positive, but I do have mixed feelings. I feel like people are hungry, people are looking for, you know, essentials that they actually need, and there's so many people that actually need this. So creating like a website or a place where you can actually reserve stuff it's a good idea, but at the same time, like it's not really efficient, because I could reserve something and end up not going for it. But there's someone who's actually really hungry that actually goes there trying to get something, and they might say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're done with this," or that's because you have reserved it, but you end up not showing, so that ended up going to waste. So I just kind of had like mixed feelings when you said that. I was thinking about this, so I say something. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Senator Roberts.
Thank you. So I wasn't saying like anything against. I still think it's a massive improvement to what's like currently going on. Like, I think that the idea, especially since students don't necessarily know everything that's wrong. So sometimes, you know, when they communicate with a social worker, they're going to find out, oh, I didn't even think about, you know, that there was this problem as well. And getting all of those, you know, things. I think that's great, right? Like, I think that's still a massive improvement. But, you know, as I said, I have the concern of, okay, so they get this list, per se, of all the places that they need to go. My concern is when they go to these different places, right, things that they talk to the social worker get missed when they go there. So those ideas that they're told start, like, being lost. So there's communication chain issues is what my worry is, of, you know, that separation. So what I was thinking in an expansion of that is that the social worker helps with the forms or whatever forms that need to be done right there, and then everything gets submitted as, instead of, you know, having to go to all these separate places individually.
That's how that works.
Oh, okay, cool. Then that clarifies it. Thank you.
All right, next on the list I have President Stiff.
Thank you, Speaker Khan. I just want to first say that I appreciate all the discussion on this, and that this resolution is really like a first step. Like the act of actually like securing a building and securing the staffing and the money necessary to do something like this comes down the road. But this first resolution is just really your expression of support for this idea as a whole. And some of the other like particulars could get worked out a little later once we have, you know, of course, all out approval of the president and saying that this is something we most definitely can move forward with. From our discussions with him so far, he seems super supportive and super excited about this idea. He just wants us to come back first with the Senate support and second with some working models of how this has worked at some other universities. I think a good point is also kind of what I've heard a little bit is that some of the offices we have and some of the stakeholders we have in question for this, such as like the Women's Center, Multicultural Center, LGBT Center, and Veteran Center, other places around campus that we would be looking to kind of come over to the center and host office hours, will also be important like figures in this process. So we definitely don't want to you know, take any office away from the CSU and put it at this other location. We just want them to have office hours in this location so that way they can be visible to students. The idea really overall is just like if a student comes in and is like, I don't know what I need, I'm just in crisis right now. Like Kara mentioned earlier, they might be failing, but behind that, they might not be able to express that they're failing because they're hungry, or because their housing is unstable, or because of whatever. They could come into this one place and be like, I just need help. And within 10 to 15 feet of all the resources they need, there's going to be someone to be like, well, have you thought about this? Do you have this at home? Is this being, consistent in your life? And they would have, basically someone to walk them through the process, which would be that social worker and other staff that is housed at the center. So I will be voting in favor of this motion once all the discussion is done. And hopefully after that, we can kind of come together and also discuss what the particulars of the center would look like.
Thank you, President Steph. Next, I have Senator Hashimoto. Are you good?
No, I think she kind of asked.
Awesome. Then next on the list, I have Senator Roberts.
Thank you. It's a question. Will there, in terms of those office hours, will there always be a guaranteed representative, at least one representative from all of these departments at this building throughout the operating hours?
Can I respond?
Yes.
Nothing is a guaranteed right now. We have a working plan.
Obviously, yeah.
What we want to see is regular showing up from people. Now, does that mean like one from every office at the same time? Likely no. Maybe it means you come in, for 2 hours twice a week. It's more so, it's less of like, now you immediately go and consult with them, and more of like, hey, they get a chance to promote to people who are coming in, and we just get to continue to have like face recognition. But at the same time, nothing's a specific right now. What we're voting on is the center as a whole, not like the specific day-to-day operating schedule.
All right, do I have any other discussion points? Any discussion points from Zoom? Senator Nowak?
I was on the Student Basic Needs Committee last year when this was first starting to pick up its fledgling stages, and of course Kara played a major role in that. But what we had found, and what kind of inspired this idea, was we were looking for what do students need on campus right now. We were noticing that people were still facing food insecurity, housing insecurity, and mental health issues. And we were looking at all of the programs that we currently had available, and we were like, well, these programs exist and are working well, but the problem is that people aren't utilizing them. So the original rationale behind this, at least that I had when I first was backing it, and I believe Kara had when she was drafting a lot of this up, was not so much that we need to totally restructure everything, and more so that we want to give those students an opportunity to know what's available to them, and to not just give people a list of hey, you have this issue, go to this place, but to have a dedicated social worker there that's able to walk them through it, and to have somebody that can help them through this stuff from a holistic standpoint, rather than having a sprinkling grape shot of different areas and groups that they are all in contact with without connecting with one another.
Thank you. Senator Carlson?
One thing that I know Senator Audrey had said in our committee meeting that would make me more want to vote for this is to actually have physical, how did you say it?
I said the resources, there's actually resources available, so you're not, and maybe at a smaller limit, because I know you said there aren't refrigerators to house perishable foods, but maybe instead of, because you said that you're going to be working outside of school hours where maybe other places are already closed, and so maybe you might need to house this some type of resource that if students are coming and they're off campus, that they can get something at that time without being left being oh, I'm here, this is outside of school hours, I can get help, but I am not getting what I actually need there.
Sure. And I think that would definitely, because right now, from what I'm still hearing, and this is no offense to everyone, but I'm still hearing that I still need to go to one extra spot to get the same resources to go to all these other spots, and that just concerns me. And so if there can be like even non-perishable food items there. That some kid walks in, hey, I don't have enough money to get dinner tonight. Oh, here's a thing of ramen. You know, like that can give them that thing right then and there and is more immediate than, oh, well, food pantry's not open until tomorrow. Sorry. Like, sucks to suck, you know? And so if there could be like some sort of promise that we will have at least minimal resources there where they can get that immediate action versus having to wait till tomorrow if they come at 7 o'clock, you know? I think I would be definitely more likely to vote yes on this. Because I like the idea. I think it's a good idea. I just think there needs to be a little more behind it.
Can I respond? Do you want to yield to Vice President Sorso?
You.
So part of our proposal and our Lexus, you know, if we think of this as like, you know, what's our Lexus win, what's our minivan win, and what's our used Honda Civic win, our Lexus win would be to move the food pantry over there. And so that's going to take more of a financial investment, but we do have that in our proposal. So it would switch, food pantry hours would meet the hours of the center, and you would be able to go in and get your food just like now, except instead of Karkoski, it would be wherever the center is. But in terms of your other ideas, yeah, I totally agree. We have places like Campus Kitchen and other places that do some of this. They have the bread cart, they have the mini fridges, and so I see a natural partnership there between, and I've been in talks with Karen Anderson, who runs that, and with Kelly Meyer, who does the food pantry, and there'd be a natural partnership there to, of course, have mini fridges there, having meals, and you know, our salvage food from Panera, having rolls and all of those things there. And so, yeah, the idea will continue to grow. I think we're getting lost in the sauce of thinking it as just like one office that is kind of like the gatekeeper to these resources, and that's not what we're looking to build. Okay. We're looking to build like a community that has people to help you walk through, just mostly so that you're not in this alone. But we want to have programming there. We want to have social events there. We'll have, of course, like you said, the career and clothing closet there, the you know, collaboration with the Campus Kitchen, hopefully one day the food pantry. So it's something that's going to continue to grow and snowball, but it's not just, you know, one person who then grants you access and sends you to 7 different places. It's one person who helps you create small, short-term and long-term goals together, and who you make those referrals together. You initiate those connections together. It's not just like a person who then prints you a list and then sends you on your way.
Thank you. President Stiff, do you have another discussion point, or is it just the hand raised from last time?
Yeah, just one more thing. I was just gonna say that we do have this, I don't know, I think last week we showed you guys like one proposal, like the physical one, but if you all don't have it, that's something I can send out, me and Kara could send out to you, and then something else we could discuss further like next week. Of course, I still would like to vote on this today, but we can actually show you what we're talking about, so that might help you visualize it a little bit better, because I don't know if all of you have seen it yet. And just as Kara said, day one of a center like this opening is probably going to look different than 2 years of a center being open, and so we don't expect all of these resources to be there the day one, but we would like some things just to start, and that's all I had.
Thank you. Senator Hopwood?
I think we're all good. I think, like she said before, like we don't want to be lost in the sauce of like everything and every little detail. I think at the end of the day, like President Stiff said, like it's not going to look the same from like now until like in the future. But I think if we start something, we can build from that instead of just not having anything at all. And I think at the end of the day, we might be able to have those like resources to come, especially like with the counseling, like you said, like at least 2 hours a week or something. Maybe instead of like, you know, waiting for like office hours or times with them that may take weeks, you could be like, I need counseling right now for like a short period of time to like get me out of that state of mind, or like I need food right now that is short term, but I can go somewhere tomorrow if I need something to get me through today. Type deal.
Thank you. Next on the list, I have Senator Darlington.
Thank you so much. So when I was reading this resolution, a few things came to my mind, and one of it is that I was wondering how, how is this center going to be very different than what we currently have? And then I was thinking about how we think the current policies that we have in existence at the college, how is it not enough to reduce the issue of food insecurity? Because just last week I talked with some students who work, for instance, at Darlington service, and they were sharing their own experiences with me about how there's large waste of food. Like, for instance, students who work there, they are allowed to eat when they go to work, but they are not allowed to bring food home even if the food is going to be wasted. So that concerns me. I was like, for real? And the students were like, yeah. Even if we go to work, they give a 15 minutes break to go and eat. And of course, you cannot eat all of the food you need in 15 minutes. Even moving from your seat to go and grab all of the food, you've already exhausted like 8 minutes, and you can't use 7 minutes to eat all of the food. So one of the things they were telling me is that we decide sometimes to buy the boxes they have like at the cashier's desks, and then put our food in it after work, take it home and eat. But then they wouldn't allow us to do that. So even if we have the money to pay for the box, they still wouldn't let us to take food. So there was that disconnect. I was trying to just figure out how can we try to reconcile this policy, this resolution with the current policies we have at the college. So to reduce the issue of food insecurity, first of all, we have to enforce or try to bring new, just try to enforce the current policies we have. Maybe try to talk to dining service to reduce food waste by giving students maybe the opportunity, if they want to eat food that is going to be wasted. Obviously, you wouldn't prefer for the food to be wasted and for students to use it. So why can't we allow students to use it? Hopefully this is going to also reduce food insecurity and give students the opportunity to have food. So tying this to the resolution, I was just thinking if there's a way that we can assess the current policies we have and see if it is very different than what this one is going to do. Because I see that it's talking about campus kitchen, food pantry, which are already resources we have at the college. So I don't really know how this is going to be a different one that would mitigate food insecurity altogether, that these ones cannot possibly do.
Thank you. Next on my list, I have Sandra Roberts.
Thank you. So I'm going to motion for an amendment to add, and before I actually give the amendment, I want to explain why I think that we should make a commitment right now of at least some sort of commitment what's going to be in this, because otherwise I don't feel comfortable with just saying we're going to do a wellness center but never specify any of the really big ones that absolutely has to be in this wellness center for it to be effective and for it to be effective for the student body. So the amendment is, be it further resolved, the Maverick Wellness Center will have immediate resources available for short-term needs. That line will be added before the last line of, be it further resolved, the Student Basic Needs Committee shall be tasked with working with the Wellness Center in an advisory capacity.
I'm going to request you to go a little slower and repeat that.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Be it further resolved, the Maverick Wellness Center will have immediate resources available for short-term needs.
And then where did you want that to be added to?
I wanted to add that before the last line, the very last line.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any dissent?
Dissent.
All right. Now we're going to move to vote.
Discussion.
Okay. All right. Discussion period. Do I have any discussion points? Starting with Vice President Sowerso.
I'm not super opposed to this. We can add it. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but I will say we talk about all those specifics in the proposal. A resolution is not the proposal. That's why we get into the specifics there. And with that, if we want to make adjustments to the proposal, it's a working document, so we can do that. I don't think this adds very much specificity, but if it'll make Senate feel more comfortable, I'm fine adding it. Yeah, I guess that's my only thought, is that we have this stated in the proposal that we talked about last week.
Senator Roberts?
I think that that's fair, right? It's in the proposal, but I want this commitment now.
Okay.
I want us to commit to something. Because, right, you just said it's a working document, right? I want us to have it in a resolution in writing that we have committed for this, for the student body. That no matter what happens in the end of the day, we promise this is at least going to happen out of this. And I think that's meaningful for the constituents we represent. To say that not only are we creating this, but we're going to guarantee that at least in the worst case scenario, this will be offered.
Senator Chimisier?
I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, it's like a hard decision to make because you really don't really have any power over a lot of some certain things like this, because you can commit to it, but like at the end of the day, it's not gonna happen. What are you gonna do? You know, like it's not something that you're gonna say, okay, I'm single-handedly gonna provide these short. Like there's so many things that go through this process for this to actually happen, and I feel like we have to just like President Stiff said, it's a beginning process. It's like the first stage basically. So like we have to just pass this, see how everything goes before we could actually calculate stuff. Because we haven't even calculated the funds for the short term that you said we're committed to. So I just feel like it's just too quick for me, in my opinion.
Senator Carlson?
I agree with Senator Roberts of making me feel way more comfortable just to add that, just because that was my biggest concern about it just being a place to send off students again, which I know isn't the ideal thing, but I just want to make sure we have something in there. Like, that's not the idea that people want, but I just wanted to have something in there to make sure that that's not what it's going to be. Because, I don't know. It makes me feel more comfortable with that in there, if that makes sense. I would vote on this with having that in there. Without it, I don't know.
Senator Roberts?
To add on, I think that would put some accountability as well for the future. And I also get your concern, Senator Timothy. But when this does go to the president, right, they're going to see this is an expectation that is going to be, this is the expectation of what we want at the bare bones level. So not only are we establishing it in terms of a resolution for us, in terms of what we want, but it's also establishing something that at that point the president of the university and the cabinet would agree to at that point.
Thank you. Do I have any further discussion points? Any last discussion points? All right, we're finally going to move on to the voting period, starting with voting on the amended motion.
The amendment first.
The amendment, right. So voting on the amendment, starting with, first of all, Senator Roberts' amendment. Everyone in favor of Senator Roberts' amendment, raise your hands now. People over Zoom, raise your hands on Zoom. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Everyone voting no, raise your hands now. Any abstains? Raise your hands now. All right, on a vote of 14 to 4 to 0, this amendment is passed. Now we would like to, now we're going to vote on the amendment from Senator Nowak, which said,
we don't need to for a friendly.
It was a friendly.
okay,
Yep.
all right. So moving on to voting on the motion as a whole. All in favor of passing this motion, raise your hands now. voting against the motion, raise your hands now. All abstain, raise your hands at this point. All right, on a vote of 16 to 1 to 0, this motion is passed. All right, moving on to our next item on the agenda, which is old business. I do not have any old business. Moving on to announcements, starting with Senator Nowak.
Howdy, gang. First of all, I hope that you are all having a wonderful week. But earlier today, I met with the Student Events Team Vice President, Madeline Banks, to talk about potentially doing a little bit more cooperation between student government and student events team, looking into next semester and potentially even years to come. In the past, we did a really fun event with them, Are You Smarter Than a Senator? I believe that was last year, not last semester. But yeah, we were looking at potential opportunities for stuff to do with that. And in addition to like looking at some opportunities for that, she also threw out the potential to have joint/swap office hours in which members of the student government senate and members of the student events team exec board either spend office hours joint together or swapping with one another, because she thought that that could be beneficial to help kind of understand how student government works for their side, and for us to help work with them and coordinate with them a little bit better for event planning. So I wanted to ask if there was anybody who would be potentially interested in that and wants me to give their contact information to the student events team. I would assume that that would also count for office hours, since you'd basically be doing office hours with another person.
As long as you can provide a description to what you were doing and how much time you spent, and just making sure that you represented student government at that event, I will accept that.
Awesome. I'm also in the process of hopefully setting up an educational-based event with student events team, which hopefully we'll be able to put together this semester. So that should be really fun. But yeah, reach out to me if you're interested in doing the office hour swap.
Thank you, Senator Nowak. Do I have any questions? Any questions for Senator Nowak? Any questions? Do I have anyone for announcements? John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good to see you all. Just a reminder, I'm here for about another week and a half, so if there's anything that you need in the meantime, please let me know. Reach out about projects. Otherwise, Emmy will be around to provide support and can do so as well. So a couple of things coming up. Obviously, we do have the first housing fair of 2022 coming up next Wednesday. So if you know people who are beginning their search for 22, 23 housing options, now's a good time to do that. The housing providers will be here from 10:30 to 1:30 next Wednesday on the main floor of the CSU. So that's happening. For those of you who wanted to visit with some of the housing providers as part of your project, that might be a good idea to go see some of them. Pop in and say hi to them while they're here. Also, I know Wendy Shue just left. As I mentioned last week, if you are running into folks who do need COVID tests and stuff like that, there are the at-home tests available free for students over in the health education office on the first floor of Tarkowski Commons, so they can pick those up over there as well. Be sure and try to get out if you can enjoy some hockey day events. I know it's a little bit bitter out there today. The wind can be biting, but don't be afraid to get out and enjoy some of it. It's kind of a big deal that we're hosting it here. We are the first campus to be the host for it. There have been multiple cities that have been hosts for the event. We are the first campus to be the host of the event. So exciting time around here for us. So feel free to ask me questions if there's anything I can do to help. Otherwise, we are in the process of moving stuff along with the election. As you know, and I've mentioned a couple of times in your meetings, we're a bit behind because we've not been able to get commissioners, but we will be hopefully moving forward pretty quickly. So the commissioner that we know about is actually out ill himself, so we will hopefully be moving things along fairly quickly. I can't give you an exact timeline, but if you do know folks who would be interested in serving on the commission, we still need people. That's the reality. You can't have an election without an elections commission. And right now there's a solo elections commissioner out there. That's what we've got. So please encourage people who can be fair, unbiased, and run a good election to step forward and help do so.
Thank you, John. Do I have any questions for John? Senator D. Schaefer?
Do you know if there's student discounts for the hockey day tickets?
My understanding there's not a student discount for the hockey day tickets. Yep.
Thank you.
I know if you happen to be volunteering for an event, that's a great way to get in, but I don't know if they're still taking volunteers. I know they were last week. But
okay, thank you.
Yep.
John, would you like to mention how much is the ticket?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's $10 for the day.
Huh?
Oh.
It's 65 for all the events on Saturday. You get everything, including our men's hockey game. On Sunday, when the women play, I think that's free. But there's smaller things for tomorrow and Friday, and they're lesser amounts than the 65.
Thank you. Do I have any further announcements? Any announcements? Any announcements over Zoom? All right, moving on to roll call. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. Senator Bassett. Senator Bassett. Senator Russler. Here. Senator Hashimoto.
Here.
Senator Chimezie.
Here.
Senator Carlson. Here. Senator Roberts.
Here.
Senator Angie Demby. Senator Angie Demby. Senator T. Schaefer. Here. Senator Hawk. Senator Hawk. Senator Hawk. I'm just gonna check the list quick. She
wasn't in there.
I know. Senator Hawk, can you hear me? Senator Basha. Senator Basha. Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Paruchuri.
Yep.
Senator Osman.
Here.
Senator Darlington.
Yep.
Senator Saha. Senator Saha. Senator Nguyen. Senator Uzefa.
Here.
Senator Wing. Senator Pina.
Present.
Senator Nowak.
Howdy.
Senator Flynn. Senator Hopwood.
Here.
Senator Hussain. President Stiff.
Here.
Vice President Sorso. Here. Speaker Khan here. All right, just want to make a last announcement before I adjourn this meeting. Some of the senators are very excited, say here very loudly. Some of the senators are still quiet. They actually like really look and see if you're really here. So please be a little loud. We're almost at the end of it. We're adjourning the meeting, so be excited. All right, so I adjourned this meeting at 5:21 p.m. What did you say?